We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hello, this is Tika Lark-Fleming with the Black Girl Show for Thursday, October 23rd. We're going to have a great show today. We're going to have Chioma Agbahiwe and Lena Dennis. But first, we're going to do the Breaking the Table like we do every single week. Breaking the Table. Our election and you can make a difference. The American election has been destroyed by the 2010 U.S. Supreme Court's decision in Citizens United versus the Federal Education Commission. The aforementioned United States constitutional law case held that the First Amendment prohibits the government from restricting political independent expenditures by corporations, associations, or labor unions. In a nutshell, the decision was described as corporations are people. If an entity is a person giving money to whomever one desires, it is protected by the First Amendment. For candidates seeking state office in California, the Fair Political Practice Commission, the FPPC, has set guidelines for contributions. $2,600 per election to a federal candidate or the candidate's campaign committee, $5,000 per calendar year to a PAC. This limit applies to political action committees that support federal candidates. $10,000 per calendar year to a state or local party commission. $32,000 per calendar year to a national party committee. This limit applies separately to a party's national committee, House campaign committee, and Senate campaign committee. And $100 in cash to any political committee. But the key phrase is the amount of money that can be given to a candidate. With super PACs, also known as independent expenditures, a person or corporation can spend as much money as they want to support or oppose a candidate, as long as there is no proof that they have worked with any candidate or respective campaign staff. And I've been at parties where people said, yeah, well, I think I need to get an independent expenditure from this guy. So don't think that they don't work together. They do work together, even if they say they do not. In California, one of the greatest violators of the spirit of voting is the Civil Justice Association of California. The Civil Justice Association of California, known as CJAC, board consists of ExxonMobil, Shell, Dow Chemical Company, among others. CJAC perverts the election process by running right-leaning, neoliberal, moderate Democrats in areas that they know a Republican could never win. CJAC is anti-environment, anti-consumer, and pro-business. But in 2008 to 2012 election cycles, the organization gave overwhelmingly to Democrats. CJAC Super PAC Fair PAC has been funded by the Koch Industries, California for Jobs and the Strong Economy, a coalition that includes Chevron and Walmart, and Enterprise Holdings, INC Political Committee, which supported the Mitt Romney for president. CJAC bragged in its promotional materials in 2008 that it spent more than $2 million in efforts to defeat pro-consumer candidates running for California state legislature. That means if you want to sue a doctor or someone's doing something to you, they can limit the amount of money that you get. So it's kind of like anti-you. So it comes out that last Friday in the New York Times, it came out that more than half of all ad spendings for this political cycle, 55%, has come through super PACs, dark money like CJAC. So dark money, super PACs, independent expenditures are all the same thing. It's no longer about just checking the box that says Democrat anymore, because corporations has changed the game. Citizens United must be overturned, and we must have disclosure laws. We make the rules of the economy, and we have the power to change them, said Robert Wright. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't change the rules. The people can change the rules, but the first thing we have to know is that the game has been rigged. Urge all your legislatures to support the California Disclosure Act. The California Disclosure Act would fight against dark money and unlimited hidden spending on campaigns by replacing misleading fine print disclosures on ballots, ads, and would require to clearly and prominently disclose the top 3 funders that fund different ads. So people always know who is trying to buy their vote. So because you're probably right now, when you're looking at a lot of the election, you probably don't know what to vote for and who to vote for because you're getting all this information. And you probably were like, well, before it was so easy to choose who to vote for. Well, it is on purpose. This is something that they have done on purpose. These very rich men, very rich people, very rich organizations are giving lots of money to confuse you and to confuse what the issues are. So it's really important that you know where this money is coming from and know who is spending it. So that was kind of like the end of breaking the table. But what I'm going to tell you is that hopefully you got your sample ballots for the November 4th election. If you want to do a mail-in, it needs to be in by October 28th. And I will put the phone number for the county registrar. So you have any questions about voting, that's something that you can ask. Also, like I said, I put the Ballotpedia underneath this video, and here's your voter's guide. But I really like Ballotpedia also in regards to figuring out what to vote for and who to vote for. And also, you can check Cal Access to see who is giving who money, because that's one of the most important things, to know who's paying who, to see who's being honest and who is not, because you can pay people to lie, and you really don't have to pay them that much, shockingly. Okay, so up next, we're going to have Chioma from Lillian Mobley's Multipurpose Center, but we're going to take a short break.
Thank you for tuning in to LA Talk Live, reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk.
She is a mountain, she is a desert, she is the sea.
Hello, we are back with LA Talk Live, the Black Girl Show, and we're up with our first guest, Chioma Agbahiwe of the Lillian Mobley Multipurpose Center. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of just talk to the executive director and ask her about all of her awesome programs. She's out there. She's on social media letting everybody know about about her appearance. We were very active here on social media. Yes. Remember to use your hashtag Black Girl so that you can participate and all that stuff. So how did the Lillian Mobley Center start, Chioma?
Well, the organization was founded by my great aunt, the late Mrs. Lillian Mobley.
Oh, yay!
Back in 1983.
Okay.
Well, that's when it was incorporated, because she'd been doing the work.
Yes.
Yes, she'd been doing the work for many years prior to that. So the organization's been around for over 30 years now. And after she passed away in 2011, I was voted on to take over as executive director. And so we're trying to continue the work that she laid the foundation for decades ago.
So, I think I always thought it was curious was the name Multipurpose Center. Why did she have that? Why did she?
Okay. Well, I should say the name before she passed was very long. It was South Central Multipurpose Senior Citizen Center.
Okay.
And so they did cater to the senior population in the neighborhood, because we're right on Central Avenue, from 78th and Central Avenue. And so she did cater to the senior population in the area. But she had programs all the time for all segments, for teens, for mothers, and for little kids, literacy programs. But she wanted it to be a multi-purpose center for everyone to come in with their concerns. If you had concerns regarding health services in the neighborhood, or if you had concerns regarding services on your street. She wanted people to be able to come to the organization for all their needs.
That is, to me, that is so progressive and so forward-thinking, and something that, in the African-American community in Los Angeles, we don't even have that now. If we want to have a meeting, it has to be at a church. The fact that she created a secular center that we could actually meet in that was kind of like politically not, slanted, was kind of a rare thing. Like, that was kind of one thing that was good about Miss Mobley, right?
Yes. She was very forward thinking. She was very forward thinking. And I think, you know, when the organization was founded, I think that was one of the main issues. She always wanted everyone to be able to come to the center. She used to have a food bank. And so people still come to our organization sometimes, you know, to see if we are passing out food. But people knew to come to the organization for their different needs. And it is important to have just a space that's not church related, not a police station,
Exactly.
or, you know, something of that nature. Just an office, just to come with your grievances and to see if you can get help. And so, you know, we do want to continue that. So even after we changed the name to name it after this late great community activist lady, we wanted to keep multipurpose in the name. And so that was important for myself and the board. So it is now the Lillian Mobley Multipurpose Center.
Yes. I mean, you know, now because of the internet, even though the names are long, it doesn't really matter so much because you could always fit stuff on like Facebook. You just push the return key.
Exactly.
So, I know that you guys have a program called Grandma's Hands. Grandma's Hands. Grandma's Hands. So over the years, Mrs. Mobley, she and her other friends in the community, the late Mrs. Henry, we still have Mrs. Nola Carter, who is still very active. They were grandmothers. And so it was Grandma's Hands, and they had different things they did over the years, literacy programs and things of that nature. And so, but before Miss Mobley passed, she always wanted a birthing project here in L.A. The birthing project was founded over 25 years ago by a lady by the name of Miss Catherine Hall Trujillo. And so the birthing project is practical support for our expecting mothers. Many people in the community know that infant mortality is very high amongst African American women. And so we do our part to help reduce those numbers by offering practical support to our women who are expecting and those who have infants up to 1 year of age. And so, you know, we help them with referrals if they don't have a doctor. We help them navigate the system. You know, sometimes many of our young ladies need housing services. And so we try to help them navigate to where they need to go. And so that program is very near and dear to our heart. It started here in our office back in 2008. Ms. Mobley was able to gather her friends in the community, local business women, local grandmothers, her friends and relatives, and to get this program started. And so we're still moving forward with it. Thank God. No, it is great. I mean, in regards to, I mean, why do you think the infant mortality rate is so high among African American babies?
Well, you know, there are studies that show particular reasons. Healthcare, and sometimes for our community, it's lack of quality healthcare, lack of access to quality healthcare. Because you may have a doctor, but you know, how much contact do you have with your doctor? What's the proximity between your residence and your doctor's office? You know, that can impact how often you see your doctor.
Well, I was even saying that too to some of my friends. I'm like, you know, even if you're supposedly middle class and educated, I've had horrible experiences with doctors. They kind of just if you're a black woman and you go in there, they just brush you off. And I have all the resources and all this backup. Imagine if you are a scared young mother. And
that's an important fact to note, because infant mortality is high amongst African American women, and it doesn't matter our socioeconomic status. From poor to middle class, black women face the same hardships. And so we try to help women of all segments of the population, African American women, because even a woman who is more affluent, she'll have the same issues.
That's amazing. That's because I think that a lot of times people really try to push off anything that's black or African American. Well, it's just a class issue. There's not really a race issue, and there is definitely still a race issue,
right?
Especially with our babies, it feels like, you know, almost like they're trying to well, I'm not gonna, you know, it's like they're trying to actually kill our babies. I mean, in regards to not helping and viewing it as us being pregnant as a problem.
It's more than just a class issue.
Yeah.
You know, it affects all of us, and because we have environmental issues in our community as well, and that goes the range from being poor to middle class. And so there's a lot of factors. Stress is also a number one reason, one of the top reasons, I should say, for the high infant mortality rate. The mothers go through a lot of stress during the pregnancy, when it is a time where she should be embraced and relaxed. But many of our mothers are stressed about a range of different things. It could be housing, it could be financial, it could be relationships, but stress definitely plays a role in it as well.
Okay. In regards to, I mean, another thing I think is how we are labeled. I when I went to your center and just kind of like knowing you, I know that you are really, supportive of Black women in regards to being open-minded. So I know that kind of like this, I always felt like single mother was kind of like this negative term that we should maybe, if we want to like embrace Black women and embrace black babies, we should kind of like stop using the single, you're not a single, who's just like by themselves. They have like a community, why do we have this one definition of family and mother? And
That's true. Well, working in nonprofit, there's a lot of terms used often, and that I just sometimes cannot, I just don't like, plain and simple. We use the word at risk, and it just pathologizes our community, and so, but yes, single mothers, that's a topic, we have a village. Yes. We have to embrace our village. Even if you're single or if you're in a relationship or if you're married. And, we can't demonize any one segment. And so, and that happens, with some organizations in the past and maybe even in the present, that does happen. And so, but we want all the women who we encounter to feel comfortable and to know that they are loved and they will receive the support that they need from us.
And I know that you guys are like providing that. In regards to how important are doulas? I mean, I went to Black Women for Wellness had this event, and they had like some doulas there, and they were just talking about how they were able to have a really good. I guess that the outcomes of the Black babies were really good. I mean, do you guys work with doulas? Or
yes, we do. We love doulas and midwives. Doulas and midwives are so important to infant mortality. I mean, they help reduce the stress levels for the mothers. They embrace the women. We love doulas and midwives. We have worked closely over the years with doulas and midwives, and all the birthing projects do, pretty much. There are some birthing projects where all of the sister friends they have are doulas. Okay. So we definitely embrace it because they help the mothers. They help to reduce those numbers that we're all trying to reduce so much, these infant mortality numbers. And they provide support for the mom during her pregnancy, during the labor, and postpartum. Whether it's helping her breastfeed, whether it's making her some postpartum tea, doulas and midwives, and it's so funny because years ago, like my mother always tells me, well, we were all born at home to the midwives, and now that's not the case so much with us. Everyone goes to the hospital, but we definitely have to pay attention to the role of the midwife and the doulas because they cannot be underestimated. They are just wonderful women who help.
I have a question. What's the difference between a doula and a midwife? Is there a difference?
Well, the doula is support. Okay.
The
midwife actually delivers the baby.
Okay.
She delivers the baby. The doula is the support.
Okay.
She is that close support, to the woman during her pregnancy and during the labor.
Okay, that's important. I think that's something that people kind of like, well, why would you need support? I'm like, because you're bringing another human being to the world.
Definitely need it. Everyone who goes to the hospital needs an advocate. You need an advocate. You might be in pain, you might be stressed out, and you can't address all of your needs. You might not be able to convey all your needs to the health workers at the hospital. But you have your support team. It might be your partner or your parent. But you have your doula and your midwife too. And so it takes a village. It takes a village to deliver a healthy baby.
Exactly. It definitely does. And when I heard what was I forgot the doula's name who was at the Black Women for Wellness.
Well, I was on a panel at that conference with a midwife. Yes. Her name is Rasha.
Okay.
She actually has the only African American birthing center in LA.
Okay.
Might be in California. But, she's wonderful. She's wonderful. She just had a grand opening for her center on La Cienega.
Okay.
But yeah, she has a community birth center. She's a wonderful midwife.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna try to reach out to her, because that's just an awesome thing.
Yes.
So,
yes.
yeah.
Oh, that would be great. I would love for her to be on here, because she does so much, and she has a whole team of doulas who are just wonderful, who work with her.
This is
Yes.
I mean, and I know that another thing you guys have is you guys have the Black Health Community Task Force.
Yes.
What is that, and why did it start?
Well, our task force was also founded by the late great Miss Lillian Mobley, and the task force. The main health concerns for the residents in South L.A., Watson, Compton, for our whole neighborhood. It's a task force that she founded along with the late Miss Mary Henry, and people come to us with their concerns or their issues that they're having, and we see how we can help them. And also the other goal is to hold officials and employees for our agencies and departments in LA County accountable. We want to make sure that they're providing the resources and services that they say there are.
Okay, and one moment here, we have a call. Caller,
Yes.
what's your name and where are you calling from, and your question, please?
Well, yeah, my name is Tariq, and I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm just looking at and enjoying the show.
That's great.
And and we were mentioning earlier about our infant mortality. And from my experience in the medical field, I think it's iatrogenics what is going on, and by the use of vaccines to actually inject our babies from birth with hepatitis B, and then probably a following up of 3 or 4 different ones, DPT and all of these, and this cannot be of any benefit to our babies. It interferes with their medulla oblongata, that is their brain stem, and it can't even function after that, a lot of them. So we're turning out all these crippled children based upon allowing ourselves to be tricked and told all this nonsense about vaccines. If we just do the research, you will see that there is no such thing as a safe vaccine.
Oh, thank you so much, sir, for that comment.
Thank you. He brings up a valid point that many parents convey to us all the time. A lot of parents do question the vaccines that their babies are getting, the number of vaccines that they have. And, I'm not a medical professional, so I won't go into details about it, but definitely parents should be aware of the options that are available to them.
Yes, they should be aware of the options, but I will put some information about vaccines. You can make your decision, but I would really, really urge parents to vaccinate their children because it is very dangerous if we start not vaccinating our children.
Right.
I have to say that. I'm sorry, sir. I have to say that I cannot just let that hang out there.
Right. That's definitely a concern for many parents.
Yes. Yes.
Definitely keep in close contact and ask your baby's pediatrician a number of questions.
Yeah, ask of course, ask questions and make sure that you know what they're doing to your child. Make sure you're informed. You don't have to just say yes to everything, but also look at the facts.
Right.
Look at the facts and look
do
at the studies.
Research. Yes, do the research.
Yes. But go ahead with how did you guys start your
Well, okay, so for the birthing project?
No, the task force. Yeah.
Well, okay, so the task force, we meet every Monday at 1 p.m. Our ombudsman for our task force is Dr. Ernie Smith, linguistics expert.
Okay.
And so, we deal with a lot of issues. Lately, we have a lot of parents who have issues with DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services.
Okay.
And so the issues that come about with them also is about being informed.
Okay.
A lot of people in our community, we oftentimes see a lot of residents who don't know how to navigate bureaucracies. And so a lot of times that's what we're doing, is trying to help our community navigate through the bureaucracies.
Yes,
you know, that can be challenging sometimes,
Yes.
just knowing where to go and who to contact. But also we have different speakers every single Monday, and from different county agencies or city agencies, tackling different topics.
And I mean, I think that's really important, just because we need to know what's going on. Like,
Yes.
you guys were doing some. You guys, I'm not sure if it was your organization or was it Charles Drew, because you work closely with the.
Yes, we do work closely with Charles Drew University.
Yes, because they're trying to criminalize like motherhood. It seems like to me. I don't know.
Yes. Well, well, there's a few different conferences going on all the time. The one we have coming up now that our organization sponsors every year is the Ebonics Conference, and that's held at Charles Drew University. It's November 1st.
Okay.
It's from 9 to 5, and it's that one will definitely be interesting. One of the speakers is Dr. Umar Johnson.
Okay.
And we have Dr. Adrian Dove and Dr. Smith. Now that one is about Ebonics in the hip hop culture. So then there was another conference, I think that was postponed, is the one you're referring to. That one was with an attorney that we work with, an attorney Pate. And so that one, hopefully she'll get a date and continue with that conference. That one was going to be very beneficial to mothers.
Yes.
And so mothers who have children in the foster care system, or just knowing your rights if you ever come into contact with DCFS and, you know, maybe an allegation is brought against you. Because what hurts us a lot of time is just not knowing what our rights are.
Yeah, exactly. And then the way it's set up, our system, where people have to work, but then we don't have universal child care. So it's like, what are people supposed to do with their kids that are right in that in-between stage? And people are sending people to jail for having their kids at the park now. So you know, it's a criminalization of, you know, black motherhood, really.
It
you know,
is.
and
It is.
we really have to fight against that. And that's why I think organizations such as, you know, Grandma's Hands, you just being part of the community, the Lillian Mobley Center, and all the people that you work with is so important.
It's very important to inform our community of the rights, just for different things, whether it's dealing with the police or dealing with a government agency, just knowing our rights. Sometimes we don't advocate for ourselves the way we should because we're not using our voice.
Yes.
You know, it's important for all of us to use our voice. And those of us who do, you know, help your fellow neighbor use his or her voice as well.
Exactly.
You know, advocate for yourself and for your community.
And in closing, just what, I mean, other than the Ebonics, when is the Ebonics conference and anything else that's happening?
Yes, well, the Ebonics conference is November 1st.
Okay.
And that will be at Charles Drew University. I did put a flyer on our Facebook page.
Okay.
If someone wants to find out more information, they could go to the Lillian Mobley Center's Facebook page and see the flyer there with the RSVP information. And then, you know, in March, the end of March, we'll have our legacy breakfast again.
Oh, good.
We had the first annual one this year, and it was paying tribute to the late Lillian Mobley, whose birthday is March 29th, and also to do our first community service award. And so this year it was wonderful. We were able to give that award to the lovely Lena Dennis.
Oh, awesome. She'll be on here next.
Yes, she was our very first recipient. And so we will continue and do that again this coming March. March 2015, we will do it again. And so we'll have a very deserving recipient. I won't say who right now, but, you know, people can check out our website for more information on that, LillianMobleyCenter.org.
Okay, and I will put all the information below.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Chioma.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. Well, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and we'll see you on the Black Girl Show in a little bit. All right.
As I cross the desert side, it's a long road home, back to the light. Darkness on my left and right. Lost my way, lost my way. spirit goes when
We know
life
there are
is
many
all
choices in
away.
internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
It started out like a totally normal day.
I love you.
I mean, I guess I was a little sweaty and I was definitely sore. I thought I had gas. Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of myself and tell the other women in my life to do the same. Make it your mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org.
Hi, this is Randy Franklin inviting you to join me every Thursday at 5 p.m. for my show, Probable Cause. Join me while I dissect current events, talk about laws, and answer your law enforcement questions. So don't forget to tune in to Probable Cause every Thursday at 5 p.m. exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, TuneIn Radio, Radio Flag, and AHA Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. I am Randy Franklin, and this is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Peace and love. This is Eddie Lamont, the fastest man in LA, inviting you to my new show, Super Force Radio, the urban lounge and internet radio TV. That's every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. That's Super Force Radio, baby. Informing the globe and empowering the people while playing the tightest songs in the universe. Exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, TuneIn Radio, Live 365, Radio Flag and AHA Radio, or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
I should have stayed at Margie's where the people are friendly, where the music is warm and the beer is cold. Why did I wander down to the crossroads?
Hello, this is MPC presents the Black Girl Show on LA Talk Live. You can listen to us on iTunes R&B Radio 365. We're back with the Black Girl Show, and our next guest is Lena Cole Dennis. I'm going to let you learn a little bit about the little songs that we're playing. We actually have two local bands, RTN 44 and Junto Los Pacho. Those are some LA local bands, so we thank them for our great music in between our segments. So I'm so happy to have Lena Cole Dennis here. She's pretty famous in Los Angeles. I think you're the most famous person on the art scene. We see you everywhere. You're not only a person, but also on social media. You're on the board of directors of ArcMidcities. You were a communications director at Rockwell. You're a Compton native. Compton, my second favorite city behind Inglewood. Of course, I'm gonna have to shout out Inglewood. Would have moved there. Haven't been. I wouldn't be free. I would move. I would be in Compton right now. So, what is your favorite thing about Los Angeles, Lena?
My most favorite thing about Los Angeles is that you can walk on the street and see anybody. You'll get all the information you want. I learned to use my cell phone from young people on the street, waiting at bus stops, on the train. So I just think Los Angeles is I used to think New York was the place to be, but Los Angeles just has everything, some of anything that you want, but in a more kind of seductive way.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I think LA is definitely a more sexy city than New York. But the reason why I have you here is because I want to kind of ask you about the arts in Los Angeles. Let's start off with the Watts Writers Workshop. It was founded, I guess, by Bud Schulberg.
Yes.
And I heard it was targeted by the FBI. Is that crazy? Is that real?
That could possibly be real because remember the Watts Prophets, of course, the things that they talked about, but also you have the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, a lot of things were, the FBI was interested in a lot of things that they didn't know anything about. And the way we wrote poetry, it was, kill a honky. A honky don't give a damn about you. Can we say damn?
Yeah, you can. You can say damn.
Honky don't give a damn about you. When he paints his ghetto property, his mama goes along, and if she dies, he paints over her too. So there were all types
wow,
of...
okay.
I know.
Well, that's an interesting... I want to hear the rest of that poem.
So, yes, Bug Schulberg, after the Watts riots, started the Watts Writers Workshop. I didn't get involved until about 1973 when I wrote my first poem. My ex-husband was a heroin addict that I didn't know at the time, and he quit cold turkey in our garage after I confronted him, with a lot of other things, scratching and wondering why is he rolling his head or nodding in a bar or something.
Yeah.
But he quit cold turkey. And when he did that, he started writing poetry as a part of it. And he also became a counselor. And all the women that he counseled, most of them quit cold turkey as well.
Oh, wow.
So this poetry thing, I kept saying, I could do that. I could do that. And once he quit and he was able to start writing his poetry, in 1973, I started writing poetry. I was saying 1973 is for Lena Lee. And that's what I wrote. So he and I became one of the first husband and wife or couples poetry reading all over. We went to jails. We went to prisons. They're not the same. A prison and jail is different. All over health fairs. Remember the Watts Health Foundation? Well, it was on 103rd near Jordan Downs. It was just nothing, just a big building. And we would recite out there with thousands of people. We'd go to Griffith Park for the love-ins and recite poetry. So it was an exciting time. And the way that people wrote. I have a great friend his name is Perkins, Charles Perkins, who used to write some great things. And he's still writing. As a matter of fact, he's a minister now, and his wife, Barbara. So there's so many different people. Frank Williams is still around reciting poetry in Long Beach.
Yeah.
These are people that are 75 years old. And I'm almost there somewhere in the world. but there's so much vibrancy and interesting things that are going on with elders. And we have that history, too. So it's kind of hard sometimes to share it with people, but I'm so glad that you are interested in me.
Well, you know what, though? The thing is so strange is that now, like, the people who are the radicals in, like, the 60s and the 70s, they're now seniors. So it's really weird for me because it's like I remember, like, that group of people, and they were, like, doing, like, but it's just weird because now you guys are still pretty radical, I think, in how you guys think and how you, especially... I think that you have a really a special way of kind of like looking at Los Angeles in regards to, I've seen you so many places. I've seen you in Highland Park. I've seen you in Watts. I've seen you in Baldwin Hill. I've seen you in Leimert Park. I don't know where I haven't seen you. So I think you go out more than I do in regards to that kind of stuff. So, why do you think the arts is important in the Los Angeles community? Why are the arts so important?
I think the arts are just as important as penmanship. When you draw, when I call it arting, when you're arting, it gives you time to think and go inside yourself, and you're creating, and then you start to think. Now, if you don't have that special time to, just get into your mind to draw something and expect it to look a certain way, or make a decision that's your creative way of doing it. And then it gives you something to share, or it's something that you just keep to yourself. So art is good for teaching people how to read, to enjoy reading. I give away books or magazines, and kids on the street, they don't want them. I'm on the bus or the train screaming, "What do you mean you don't want this book? You're taking it."
Yeah.
So I just think the art is it's a soothing thing, or it's an exciting thing. Michael Massenberg, he paints day and night, night and day. He can just stop painting and he'll be at a meeting or something, and he has paint on his hands, and then one night you'll see him, he's all decked out. You know, they always have this creative thing. Tony Scott, she's always running around when you see her, and she's all up in arms about something. But then when you see her in her art exhibits or she's talking about art, it's a whole different person. So I just think the arts and Los Angeles really is an artistic city when you look at it. Everybody always said we didn't have a skyline, and they loved, but we do have a skyline, and when we didn't, we just had a big, long, flat space that it was built and created. We have our, what do you call those, murals? I have a friend named Isabella Rojas, I think that's her last name. Yeah. She's on the commission of saving art on murals. Yeah. There's some in Compton that Willie Middlebrook. Yeah. With another friend of mine who's an older guy who was his teacher, Mr. Will. They do these things, and these things have been covered up, and they found, like Compton College, they covered up, thank God, this fabulous mural when we were doing Power to the People and everything, and they took over Compton College, and then they covered it, and it's been covered for like 40 years, and they just found it, and so it's now in exposed.
I find Compton very, very fascinating, just because they covered up the mural, and because it was such a political place, and then Compton's College ended up getting taken over by El Camino, and you have pretty much everybody who's like a modern black artist in Los Angeles have come from the East Side, which would be Compton and Watts, and it's kind of interesting how that kind of area kind of gets excluded. And not saying Lamar Park is not has the art capital, but most of those people were taught in Watts. They were taught at the Compton Art Complex. They were taught, the writer's workshop, even a lot of the poets and stuff. And yet, because it's very political. And I think that's really important in regards to, and I think that's one thing that's great about you, is that you support adult artists. And I think that's, I mean, do you notice that, how it seems like in Los Angeles, like artists of color, like black artists, Latino artists, it seems like if it's not like a social justice component or for children, it doesn't seem like it's valid. But it's so important because, like you said, in regards to politics and expanding. I mean, I don't know. I'm not really asking a question. I'm just rambling.
Right. No, I like that. I like that. No, that's a good point. What happened is, remember, we're the baby boomers. We didn't I think our mothers stopped living, some of them, at perhaps 50 or 55, because people could retire at that time. Now we don't, and we're exposed to so much more, and we really have a heart, we have a life, we have love, we have a service, we're committed. There's so many elders or seniors who could be working as community service people. We expect to do that. Someone had, Isidra, person Lynn, wrote on her Facebook today something about retiring, and one of her friends is retired, and she said, "What are you guys doing?" I said, I am in repair. I am not retired.
You're in repair.
I'm in repair. I'm not retired. Give me a little job that I could do, a special project. I'm willing. But, of course, we don't get those kind of things all as often as we used to, but we're still able and willing. In church, we have so much energy. I just have a lot of energy. People want to know, what do you do? How do you do it? But why not? If you ever notice the person that's really busy all the time, maybe have 15 things to do, you can always ask them to do a favor or work on a project. But someone who's kind of lazy, only does one thing a day, they're not willing. They're going to ask you 1,000 questions. They're not going to get it. They're not going to be excited about it, and they're going to tell you it can't be done, and they don't have time to do it.
It's true. It's true.
And why can't we do it next week or next year? Or something.
I know that with no, I'm not asking. What's your favorite artist in Los Angeles? Is that like a loaded question? Because not one of your friends are all gonna be mad at you if you say the wrong person. Okay.
Well, Lily Bernard has some fabulous work, and she's a very creative, crazy woman. She's got 6 kids. She does some of everything. She's in the political part for arts. With CAM. Matter of fact, CAM has a board, and there were 60 of us were going to the meeting this last Thursday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
And it was canceled because some of the board of directors, they didn't have a quorum.
Yes.
So Todd Hawkins is now the new president. So we're supporting him because this would have been our second one. We bought 30 people or more last month, and this month there were 60 people agreed.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that Willie Middlebrook was really one of my favorites because he does some fabulous work, and it's still at the Blue Line, and it's at the Expo Line.
Yes.
I love Barnett Honeywood. Barnett, in the 74, 75, she came all the way to Rockwell, and I don't work at Rockwell anymore.
Okay.
That's just on my thing. I all the way drove out there with her mother, and we did an exhibit reciting poetry. And I recited some of that poetry that with bad words and things like that in the Rockwell library or wherever it was, cafeteria, because I'm thinking, I'm a poet, and that they must know my work.
Yes.
So it took me a little while to learn that I wasn't supposed to recite certain poems around certain people, especially when this vice president had told me I had a job, and I would meet the director that I would work with at her, but she invited me to her going away party when she became vice president. And I recite one of those powerful poems. And then she saw me and later on, and she says, well, did you start working? I said, no, he didn't want me for the job. What are you talking about? I said, well, after I wrote that Black Power poetry and recited with all those white people, he didn't want to hire me. She said, oh, forget it, you're hired. So that's how I got to go to the space shuttle launch and see the landings and have an exciting communications job.
That's amazing. Like, you thought, like, oh, I'm not going to get this job. But, well, you didn't actually think that because you read it, and then they just didn't call you back. But then it turns out, I mean, I think because people respect people who kind of like aren't thinking about what you think. You know, they want somebody who has their own mind, their own brain. I mean, that's kind of like why you like Willie Middlebrook. Right. I remember going to his studio in Inglewood, and it was just filled with art and he was just talking about all the stuff he was going to do, and it was like just, you know, all this big art, you know, because he's a big person, so his art's like really big and it's all over. He's like showing me all this stuff, so it was just like, yeah, he's one of the great, and he's from you know, from Compton. He's from Compton. I mean, like I said, there's so many great Black artists there from Compton.
John Otterbridge.
John
Otterbridge.
Yeah.
Well, matter of fact, when I worked at the space shuttle program, we had pieces of stuff, you know, just not debris, but parts and things. And we saw his work, and we said, John, you could get this these pieces. And so a lot of that stuff came from there. So when you're talking about the space shuttle program and the arts, we were interested in arts in our community in Compton. And so that's how a lot of people were able to do their work and making those connections. And I always think that it's so important as a teacher, that a teacher in Compton should be able to go to a company and work so that she can participate with her kids and tell them things. Instead of once I went to this classroom, maybe 3 times, and the teacher would pull me aside and say, did those people really go to the space, to Mars or to the moon, or were they in a TV studio? Now, these are real life teachers, so you have to expose.
Okay. That wasn't a joke either, right?
No.
They were serious.
They were serious.
I find these kind of things very, very fascinating. What are your favorite what's one of your favorite, like, kind of like thinkers or thinkers or writers, you know, outside of the visual arts? Who's one of your favorite, or people up and coming, or whatever person that you're like, oh, this person's got something?
You know, I read everything, but one of my favorites, and she just passed away, boy, Hooks. Did she just? But anyway,
yeah.
But I like the older. I really don't have a favorite, which is really sad. Of course, you know, Nikki Giovanna.
Yeah.
She's just, I've always loved her, and I like her style. I like everything about her. Matter of fact, I just saw her at BET and got a picture with her.
Yes.
And this early in February.
You get a picture with everybody, though.
No, not everybody. Not everybody. I you know.
Yeah,
everybody that's living and walking in Compton and Los Angeles. I have a picture with
them.
Yeah,
you have a picture of them. So that's kind of like a documentation of. I'm just going to go through your Facebook and then make a book out of all your Facebook pictures, Lena.
I wish you would do that for me, because I can't seem to do that. But I take selfies, and I call myself the Facebook, the guru of my generation. Because I do document in every day of something. Winos, when I miss the bus and have to wait an hour and sit at a bus stop, and a wino is sitting there, and we start talking these fabulous conversations, and he'll offer to go give me some liquor. Ma'am, would you like to partake? No, sir, I'm sorry, but next time. Or, ma'am, there's some great tacos, and I'll, you get this. I bother kids with their pants hanging down. My whole thing is, young man, come here, pull up those pants. You know, it's Sunday hanging with. They always apologize. They always pull them up. I love just interfacing with people and smiling and telling them afterwards, thank you for respecting me, for allowing me to talk to you. And most of the times they lie and say, oh, I forgot my belt. One guy, I said, what do you think about me asking you to pull up your pants and dragging you over here to talk to you? He says, my mother does it all the time. So I think youth are walking the street. When do you get to talk to them? So that's why I walk the streets or take a bus. At least I try to take the bus 2 times a week.
I actually think that's really important, because I also used to take the bus and like try to like take the blue line and all stuff, because you get to talk to people and like, you know, and that kind of builds community, because you're out there, you're on the street, and you're building community. And I kind of wanted to talk about before I've run out of time. I want to talk about no, that's okay. That's we want you to talk. That's how this whole thing works. But in Compton is one of the few. I think it's actually one of the only places in LA County where you can actually do livestock, have livestock. And I mean, is there a way that we can try to get Asia to kind of like to focus on that and get some more people, like some urban farmers in Compton, get some art galleries and some urban farms? Because I think that could be like a total little thing they could have.
Well, you know there is, because there's some property. I forget what it is, but it's on Greenleaf, and it's like farm property, and there's horses and
Richland Farms.
Richland Farms. I have a friend who lives right there. I'm just there now. And one of my friends from Compton High, graduated 1964, has a brand new house in Compton that has, what are those things? Solar system.
Yes, solar power panels.
Panels over his house. So if you can imagine over on Alondra and whatever street that is, Alameda or somewhere near, and you see this great house that's painted with great paint that won't, and then he's got a garden, and it's got some weed. He grows different types of. What's that Kush book I saw?
Oh yeah, the marijuana. I didn't actually know you were talking about different kinds of marijuana. Wow, okay. Thanks, Lena. I know you appreciate that.
These are my friends.
But I mean, that's the one thing is, I mean, I love that about Compton. And also too, if you're a bike rider, Compton is completely flat. So you can actually ride your bike everywhere, and it's completely flat. You could see all the way through the whole city. It's very strange.
From Alondra to the freeway, to the 91 freeway.
Yeah, you could see. I'm like, I don't know how. You know, when they had the song with NWA, people were running from the cops. I have no idea how you could run. The cops just could look straight and just see you all.
No, trust me, you can run from the cops. Okay, and Asia Brown, Mayor Asia Brown, is trying to do a lot of different things. One great thing she's done is she had all the nonprofits to come together and and to work together, because she's talking about collaborating. Everybody was on their website. There's a certain website you can go to, and it talks about all the nonprofits, what they're doing, and then she's hoping that some of them would collaborate on certain things. We've collaborated. ArcMidcities, an organization that I'm president of, we support people living with developmental disabilities.
Okay.
We have 500 consumers and 200 employees, and we've been around 60 years in the city of Compton.
Oh, wow.
Matter of fact, on October the 30th, we're having our 60-year anniversary.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
And where's it going to be at?
It's going to be at USC Town and Gown, and it's a luncheon.
Okay.
We have 4 facilities: Santa Ana, Tustin, Compton, and Los Angeles. So if you can imagine, and we're honoring John Wagner, who was the executive director and he was a visionary. He passed away 3 years ago, so we will be honoring him, and we will honor Isadora Hall and Holly Mitchell, because Holly, from Assembly to State Senator, she has always supported health issues, and
no, she is. She's like awesome. She's always sponsoring different bills and all that. I mean, pretty much like every time I bring a health person on, somebody brings up Holly Mitchell. Like, Holly Mitchell sponsored this bill, and she sponsored this bill, and she also does a lot of work with the environment.
And she always knocks on wood and said, up to this date, not one of my bills have been denied. They've all been passed.
That's true. That is true. I mean, and do you somehow bring in the arts with your clients or your consumers at ARC?
We certainly do. Matter of fact, we had years ago made these, I don't know what they're called, but it's concrete and pavers, and they're done in a dove, because a dove is our signature logo.
Yeah,
and so people can buy those pavers, and the consumers make those. We made art objects, and that's how I met them. And 20 years ago at Rockwell, bringing consumers into community and diversity and showing people how wonderful they are.
Well, thank you so much, Lena, for visiting the Black Girl Show. We really appreciate you sharing information.
Thank you.
And we will make sure that we put the USC ArcMidcities October 30th event on our website, so that people can know and support you and support what you're doing. And thank you for giving us a little information on your perspective on arts in Los Angeles, because you're the social media queen. She knows everything. She knows everybody. You want to get a picture with Lena, and you know you're famous.
That's right.
Well,
thank you.
You're welcome. So next week we are going to have Lonnie Millsap and Skyra Martinez on the Black Girl Show. I would like to thank Richard Carr, my engineer of LA Talk Live, for helping us bring this great show, which is my show, every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is Tika Lark-Fleming with the Black Girl Show, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
They say I'm different.
We know there are many choices of internet radio, and the staff and hosts of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.